In this video, we will discuss how to use the DECODE and DEVELOP boxed set systems from Saddleback Educational Publishing and donated by Hands Across the Sea to secondary school remedial reading teachers to use with teens still struggling to read. The remedial reading kit that Hands Across the Sea sends includes sets of guided reading books with teen content on lower reading levels called the DECODE and DEVELOP systems. A DECODE teacher's manual with lesson plans, comprehension questions, activity ideas, and reproducible worksheets that correspond with each book, as well as hands-on learning manipulatives with games and activities that meet these older students where they are at on their literacy journeys. No longer are these students enduring reading lessons from baby books that have humiliated, bored, and frustrated them for far too long. These students have books on their reading levels that are of interest to them, a huge motivator on their journeys to read. You can make this happen as a remedial reading teacher by utilizing the DECODE, DEVELOP, and DISCOVER boxed sets with your students. Teachers report that this toolkit meets the needs of their teen students and has inspired hope that despite having fallen behind their peers, these remedial reading students can and will learn how to read. Saddleback has a three-part series starting with the DECODE, then DEVELOP, and then DISCOVER. So far, Hands Across the Sea has sent the DECODE box set with our initial remedial reading kit, and this year we sent part 2 to those schools that were embracing the system and making it work for their students. In the future, we hope to send the final box set in the future to schools who are utilizing the first 2 sets we have sent in the past. Each box set is structured the same way, and each builds upon the other. The first set is called the DECODE system. It consists of 24 different titles with 3 copies of the same book to use with your guided reading groups. The set also includes a teacher's manual with lesson plans, comprehension questions, activity ideas, and reproducible worksheets that correspond with each book. If you have your box set with you right now as you are watching, go ahead and open it up. Explore the various titles and browse the pages of the teacher's manual. Let's take 3 minutes to do that now. As you look through the materials, ask yourself, what are some things that you like about what you see? Pause the video now and resume it after the 3 minutes of browsing. Some of our secondary school remedial reading teachers have already been using the kit and love it. We may have a few teachers who are willing to share their own best practices and success stories using the kit so far. As you listen to one another, make a web with at least 8 cells to jot down at least 8 best practices that you hear from other remedial reading teachers using the kit who share. You don't have to write a full sentence, just a word or phrase to remember the strategy or the idea. This is a creative note-taking technique that you can use with your own students, and if your students cannot write yet, they can draw simple pictures to remember that may help them connect what they hear to what they put down on paper visually. For the teachers who share their best practices, consider answering the following questions when you share with the whole group so that we can better understand how you have used the kit with your students so far. What kind of progress have you seen since using the kit? What have the students liked the most about the kit? What do you like the most about the kit? Are there any specific lessons, books, or activities that have worked for you and your students that you would like to share with the group? Pause the video so that teachers can share and those of us listening can jot down those ideas in our webs. The DEVELOP system is part 2 of the remedial reading kit that Hands Across the Sea has sent. It also includes 3 copies of each leveled book for guided reading groups. There are a total of 24 different titles in this box set too, and a teacher's manual with lessons, comprehension questions, activity ideas, and reproducible worksheets that correspond with each book. In the back of both the DECODE and DEVELOP teacher's manual, there is a CD-ROM that you can use to download the entire teacher's manual onto your computer. This way you can easily print off the lesson plans or the reproducible activity worksheets for your students without any hassle. You also have it saved somewhere just in case you misplace the hard copy of the book. Saddleback has designed this Teen Emergent Reader Libraries TERL Phonics curriculum to help remedial reading teachers of secondary school students learn how to read from the very basics at level 1 all the way through level 6 in the Develop boxed set. You can see this outline of what phonics skills are covered with each level in the kit so that students are building on their knowledge and growing in their literacy skills as you use this set with them. In the DECODE boxed set, you will see level 1, level 2, and level 3. In the Develop box set, you will see level 4, level 5, and level 6. As remedial reading teachers of teenagers, we face a lot of challenges with our students. Hands Across the Sea recommends and sends the DECODE and DEVELOP system because it is specifically designed with these students in mind. Each of the 24 books in the set are 16 pages in length, with mature, engaging content written at the beginning reader levels that teach phonics and comprehension skills. Older students are at a different cognitive level than younger students. Teaching reading to young adults should be a different process than that used to teach young children in primary school. Many secondary students feel embarrassed or bored with the content if they have to practice reading with materials that are written for younger readers. This often crushes both their interest and motivation. Perhaps you can relate. I want to take a brief moment to do a talk and turn activity. Discuss with one another, sitting next to each other, what your greatest challenge is when teaching reading. Go ahead and pause the video for about 2 minutes to have this paired discussion and resume the video afterwards. We are all in this together. My hope is that one of the biggest takeaways from this workshop is that you are not alone as remedial reading teachers of teens. We share similar struggles with teaching remedial reading to teenagers, and the camaraderie of our group has the potential to boost many of our spirits. The Develop Kit is part 2 to the DECODE box set. It begins at level 4 and builds upon the 3 levels from the first box set. Level 4 skills include initial single consonant words, short vowels, consonant vowel consonant words, adding S to make words plural, the difference between soft and hard C and G sounds, long vowels and beginning consonant blends, just to name a few. The 8 books listed here correspond directly with teaching and reinforcing these skills. Level 5 reviews many of the same concepts, but builds phonics knowledge with beginning consonant blends, Y used as a vowel and pronounced as long E or I, final consonant blends, and common long vowel pairs. The following 8 books correspond directly with the reinforcing of these skills through integrated lesson plans. Level 6 is the final level of the Develop boxed set. Each level builds on the next, so the students learn beginning, medial, and final consonant digraphs, silent letters, and plural endings ES for base words ending in S, CH, X, or Z. These 8 books from the box set enable your students to use these phonics skills in context to reading stories and informational texts that will be of interest to them. Sometimes when teachers browse through the books in the DECODE or DEVELOP boxes, they don't like all of the titles that they see. Let me speak directly to this concern and give you peace of mind. Out of these 8 books in the DEVELOP system, level 4, perhaps one of them you don't like. You can still use and enjoy the other 7 with your students. Keep in mind that there are 24 different books in each box set. Not all the books need to be used for the DECODE and DEVELOP system to be effective. The system does build on itself, but if you skip 1 or 2 different titles because you feel they contain controversial content, then do not use them. You can still teach the skill, use activities from the lesson plan, and use the reproducible from the teacher's manual to teach your students what the book would be reinforcing without actually having the students read that particular book. Use the books that you like and that you feel comfortable with your students reading. There are so many, so just because you don't like 1 or 2 of them does not mean you have to disregard the entire system. That would be a waste. And we encourage you to think creatively and positively about how to use these books. Also, I challenge you to reconsider how you could use the controversial books in the kit that bring up these topics to lead profitable discussions and use them as opportunities to discuss with your students important life decisions and life lessons that you can draw from these books. Each book has a theme. All of those themes are listed on pages 14 through 16 of the Decode and Develop Teacher's Handbooks. For example, The Mess is a book from the first set, Decode, and it is a nonfiction title about the environment. If you have your teacher's handbook with you, go ahead and turn to those pages now for this quick activity to get familiar with the types of books in your boxed sets. Also, take 6 minutes to peruse the books in your box and make connections to things students might be learning in the classroom in science, social studies, or other classes. Fill in the graphic organizer with your notes answering these 3 questions. What themes from these books coincide with what students are already learning in their classes? What themes can you relate to with your own experiences? What themes do you think your students will enjoy reading about? Group different books together to consider how they can be integrated with other subject curriculum and be ready to share your answers from this graphic organizer with the whole group. If you don't see connections, don't worry or think these are not relevant. They are for teaching reading, but if content is there, it is an added bonus. Take 6 minutes to pause the video and complete the activity. Have at least 3 different teachers share their findings with the whole group and then resume the video. The following example lesson plan that I will be talking through is for the nonfiction title called Reefs in the Develop Part 2 of the system. You can see that the book Reefs explores reefs along the world's ocean coastlines from the theme page in the teacher's manual. If you turn to page 98, you can follow along with how the lesson plans are formatted and laid out for each book. At the top of each lesson, there is a quick synopsis about what the book is about. You can either read this aloud to your students or just have that for reference so you know what the book is about without having to have read the whole thing yourself ahead of time. The second part of the lesson is called Preparing to Read. This section offers a pre-reading activity for you to use with your students. For this one, you can ask them to share with a partner what they already know about reefs and where they are located to generate the students' background knowledge about a topic that they may be familiar with. This enables students to connect with the book's content and feel like they are an expert about specific details they already know about the main topic. You could actually bridge the gap between what they already know and what they want to know with a KWL chart if you wanted to, listing what volunteer students already know about reefs, what they want to know about reefs, and then after reading the book, what the students learned about reefs. The third part of the lesson plan offers a phonics skill activity. This can be done as part of your mini lesson through direct instruction, but it could also be something you get creative about. Introduce whole group and then allow practice with at rotation stations. I love being able to use the other hands-on materials from the Remedial Reading Kit to enhance the phonics skill lesson activities for my students. This way, they get an opportunity to work with the skill in different ways. Often, students sit and listen to teachers talk at them all day long in each of their classes when they know that when they come to my class, that's going to be different. They're going to get to do more hands-on learning, and this is an incentive for them to come with more excitement and motivation to learn. The fourth section of the lesson plan is the vocabulary activity. Again, this can be done in a mini lesson whole group through direct instruction, but I have seen these activities utilized best when they are quickly introduced at the beginning of the lesson in less than 10 minutes, and then the vocabulary is reinforced through reading the actual book in guided reading groups, and then practice through hands-on activities at various rotation stations. Every single lesson offers ideas about how to reinforce the vocabulary so that students are constantly growing in their knowledge of new words. The final section of the lesson plan lists specific guided reading questions. You can see that the page numbers are listed beside each question for where in the book students can locate the answers. Remember, the purpose of guided reading questions is to develop comprehension and research skills, going back to the text to locate the correct answers. Guided reading questions are not meant to quiz students on how much they remember and can memorize. This defeats the purpose of teaching students how to think, question, consider, and review what they've read. Sometimes answers may vary, especially to opinion questions like, what do you think are good ideas for protecting reefs? This can lead to a discussion and perhaps even research online or from a book in your library. I encourage you to use YouTube videos and other visual and auditory ways like podcasts and interviews and nonfiction texts that have bright, colorful photos and pictures to share and learn about real-world problems despite the fact that your remedial reading students are unable to read difficult articles. Find one of the copies of the book, Reefs, in your box set and turn to the back page. You will notice that the word lists in the back that can be used for practice or lesson activities. Take 30 seconds and talk with another teacher near you about how you and your students could utilize these word lists from the back of the book with some of the hands-on materials from the Remedial Reading Kit. Pause the video and resume after the quick discussion. Let's explore another lesson plan together in a quick activity. Each group has 3 minutes to read through one of the 4 activities from the lesson plan on the book Trike from the Develop system that they are assigned. Consider the main takeaways and then be ready to explain and share the activity from the lesson plan with the whole group to orient them about what was suggested and how you would adapt it to your classroom. Pause the video and resume after all 4 groups have shared a takeaway from the activities of this lesson. You may have noticed that the lesson plan is not the only corresponding activity that goes along with each book from the box set. There are 4 reproducible worksheets in the teacher's manual after the lesson plan that can also be used to reinforce phonics and vocabulary skills, phonics and comprehension, and also comprehension quiz for each of these books. You may have noticed that the lesson plan is not the only corresponding activity that goes along with each book from the box set. There are 4 reproducible worksheets in the teacher's manual after the lesson plan that can also be used to reinforce what you are teaching and to use as springboards for your rotation stations. In addition to the lesson plan, there is a phonics and vocabulary skills activity worksheet with a reefs puzzle, phonics and comprehension activity worksheet for practice with vowel pairs, a comprehension worksheet to teach cause and effect, and also a comprehension quiz that you can use as a formative or summative assessment for every single book. I love pairing hands-on materials with the phonics and vocabulary worksheets to make the learning experience for the students more interactive and more fun. Let's take 3 minutes to review the reproducibles for the book Trike from the Develop box set. Just like before, each group will be assigned one of the 4 reproducibles on pages 52 through 55 in the teacher's manual. Read through the worksheet. Consider with your group how you could use it with your students and perhaps how to incorporate something hands-on to make it more engaging and fun. Be ready to explain and share the reproducible with the whole group. Pause the video and resume after each group has shared. The DECODE and DEVELOP system offer a phonics program progress chart in each teacher's manual that can be reproduced, one for each student to measure their progress and keep track of how they are doing. Go to page 21 to find it. The chart lists the name of the book, the date read, and a column for the completion of the guided reading questions, which can be done verbally in a guided reading group or written if your students are starting to use their writing, as well as the 3 worksheets and the comprehension score. It also offers a comment section for you to jot down specific notes about how that student is doing. You can see that the books are listed in order of their levels. Here is the book Trike we've been looking at in the level 4 section, and Reefs further down in the level 5 section. I actually like to invite the students to see and record how they are doing. So this progress chart is something I share with them. I actually like to do this because it gives them even more ownership of their own learning. I keep the scores confidential between me and the student, and I will discuss the student's progress with them privately and give them insight and feedback on their learning progress with reading. Students love to see where they've come from and where they are going. It also gives a reference point to share with parents and principals. I have used progress charts with remedial reading students to also celebrate the victories and milestones after finishing each level, because the encouragement truly incentivizes them to keep going strong.